Hi everyone, Serene from Advocate Me, burning the midnight oil for the 18th months in a row, working probably about, 16 to 20 hour days sometimes, just so that I can keep up. I'm making this video because I am really sad. I'm really sad about what is happening in western part of Sydney. We have seen a diabolical attack, an out of control attitude that has become very symbolic of the way that our government's chief health officers, ministers, bureaucrats, police officers, senior police officers, not the ones at the bottom end, and premiers, and I could go on and on in what is clearly a huge intimidation strategy that has now been unleashed on the Western Sydney communities. And what we're actually seeing in the last 3 weeks is complete confusion with regards to what we're observing as actually vaccine injury as a result of the uptake of the vaccines, synonymous with this idea that there's more COVID and it's more serious and it's Delta, and it's all extremely confusing, okay? And where we have become as a nation in terms of our medical ethics, they're out the window. What I can clearly confirm to you, anecdotally at least, also there are studies that would confirm the same sort of thing, but what we are actually witnessing right now is something extremely dangerous, and that is in Western Sydney. And please forgive me, I am Lebanese, Australian myself. Western Sydney is sort of a working class a demography of Lebanese, probably born and raised here. I mean, I wasn't born and raised here. I have more Lebanese-ness really in me, but you find that there are sort of Lebanese, Vietnamese, Asians, East Europeans, a lot more in that region of Western Sydney, poorer Australians, but pretty much that area is like a real big social experimentation at the moment. And even my cousins all live there, and I'm getting quite a lot of reports on the ground. I am disappointed that a lot of Lebanese, I would hope that they'd listen to me, but they don't, because of a lot of factors, lack of education, lack of interest in understanding things. You find that a lot of people who will oppose the vaccines, they're usually highly educated, very highly educated, might have actually quite a lot of privilege, and people who would have lots of books in their homes, probably Christian, of that Christian faith, sort of more enlightened faith. So it's interesting that we're going to be seeing a lot more attack on that group. But what they're doing right now is attacking the most vulnerable, the ones who have more desperation, who are more linked within government and government payment. As I said, a lot of Asian, Arab, East European subgroups. So what is actually occurring is that this is being mixed up between actually the rollout of the vaccines, where I could report to you very safely that people who are getting the vaccines are actually getting injured, and they're being reported as COVID with Delta strain and getting sicker, really sick. My cousins report that almost every third, fourth house in western suburbs of Sydney are reporting people getting sick, and that is actually genuine. It's not fake. This is actually genuine. They are sick, okay, and they're not lying about their symptoms, but it is following up a vaccine or someone within the family or them interacting with someone who has been vaccinated. That's the reality on the street. It actually breaks my heart. I get a bit emotional about it because, this is actually more vulnerable people in our community, and this is really sick and perverted and perverse, okay? And it's amazing how we are not going to stand up, and how a lot of these communities will not stand up because of fear, because of lack of education. I mean, these are my own cousins and they won't listen to me. So, which actually really hurts me a lot, because the situation is situation critical. What is going on? Are people getting vaccinated? First dose, Pfizer or AstraZeneca, they're getting sick and they're shedding, whether we like it or not, they're shedding the Delta strain, which is a mutated strain from an immune escape variant, as Dr. Vanden Bosch has said, as Dr. Fleming has said, as Dr. Peter McCullough has said. Top names, top doctors, they're saying this. And we're witnessing these immune escape variants, particularly the Delta. So when you do get vaccinated, it's very likely that even the vaccinated will be probably more likely to get the Delta strain. And this is confirmed by a number of studies that are currently in preprint, which I will also attach. One particular study is actually said shedding. It actually is headed shedding. Yeah, it's called that. Yeah, I'm not making this shit up. This is actually studies that are being done right now into this. And it says the SARS-CoV-2 Delta variant might cause high viral loads, highly transmissible, and contains mutations that confer partial immune escape. Outbreak investigations suggest that vaccinated persons can spread Delta. Well, I'll go further ahead. I would say that vaccinated people particularly are super spreaders. Okay? I hate to say this, but I don't want to be around vaccinated people. I might get sick. And I'm not talking out of my ass with that. That's actual data. We're going to be setting up a system where we can capture this data, because the complete corruption that we are seeing in our hospitals, in our medical clinics, and in the most poorest parts of Sydney is unbelievable. It's just mind-boggling stuff. Okay? And I will set that link, okay? But also that Dr. Vanden Bosch also talks extensively on that. I'll also send his link to his website, Dr. Richard Fleming. I mean, thousands and thousands of research, like links. Okay? Stop getting the vaccines. They are bioweapons. They are bioweapons. Gain of function specifications, high human-like epitopes have been shown to be on there. The mode of vaccination, the mRNA technologies and the vector-based technologies, they're creating these spike proteins in the body that have high human-like epitopes. If you're not going to get sick quickly, you are going to get sick. By design, they will cause something called pathogenic priming, high epitopes. That means the connector points on the antigens, on the spike epitopes, on the spike protein, the connector points with the antibodies is not connecting properly. It recognizes it as its own bodily proteins, and it could later on create an onset of an attack on your own healthy tissues. I don't know how many times I need to say this. I don't know. How many times do I have to say this? Anyway. Don't fucking get him. Okay? Alright. That's one thing. The second thing is that we are really happy that we have spearheaded a number of actions in the Fair Work jurisdiction with paramedics in WA, and we're raising questions of law, serious questions of law, through the approval of the commission, the commissioners, who, by the way, the LSB, they're not lawyers, okay, and I'm a paid agent. I already got permission because they're threatening me. I can't help people. Apparently. I need to be imprisoned or prosecuted according to the government. Well, because my arguments are really good, aren't they? Human Biosecurity Act. All the arguments I was saying. Individualised orders. Medical practitioners. Human Biosecurity Officers that can only do that. Oh, what are they doing now? They want to change it. They want to expand it to group orders. Starting slowly. And trying to change things, trying to change what has been already settled as medical standards, as informed consent. Medical interventions cannot be done on groups. Medical interventions cannot be done by states. I'm not giving legal advice here, bitches. This is the VLSB. I'm not giving legal advice here. I'm giving legal facts. Reading the law? That's right. Because you're bamboozling everyone. Anyway, coming back to our Fair Work claims and the paramedics, and we really are encouraging the New South Wales Police Officers to come forward, because this New South Wales Police Commissioner Fuller, fucking out of his mind. Out of his mind. The association says, oh, it's likely lawful to tell all your cops to just get vaccinated. This is not even the government saying it. Just, OH&S? Yeah. OH&S and enterprise agreements. Yeah, but they don't mention medical interventions. I don't know. OH&S doesn't mention it. I looked at it. It doesn't mention it. Yeah, no medical interventions. All the OH&S regulations talk about everything except medical interventions. Oh yeah, it's meant to include it. Yeah, meant to be there, but not mentioned. I mean, literally, you've got some idiotic barristers and lawyers everywhere. What the hell? These are morons. Everywhere. If the law doesn't mention something, that means it doesn't cover it. No. It's the vibe. The vibe of the OH&S. And no one's talked about insurance, that dirty word insurance. Workers' comp isn't covering. There's no indemnity. The vaccine scheme liability is only covered by the Commonwealth, not the states and territories, not the employers. So, there's questions of law here. Commissioner of Police, New South Wales, questions of law, my friend. Paramedics, ambulance services, questions of law. Teachers, questions of law, but general practitioners, they don't have to get vaccinated. Oh, surprise, surprise. But everyone else does in Sydney, Western Sydney. So that's happening. We're going to be doing some media releases on that. But if you're New South Wales police officers, please get in touch. We've already, got in touch with you, and we really want to stand up here and say no to what is occurring. Bioweapons, gain of function, spike proteins, using bioweaponized technologies that will create both shedding as well as increased risk of blood clotting, myocarditis, pericarditis. They've already said this to us. It's in the TGA warnings. Anyways, according to the Police Association, it's likely lawful. Likely, kinda, sort of, feels like the vibe again. Unbelievable. insanity. The unions and the associations are completely insane. Now my favourite part. I have made it into the fact checkers. That's right, everyone. I've made it into the fact checkers. I will also put that link. These absolute morons have been following what I've been saying. They're literally stalking me, and they care for what legal arguments I'm presenting. Because they're not legal arguments. They're just facts. They're facts that are in the law. And apparently it's stated false New South Wales health order claim needs a legal lesson. Well, let me give a legal lesson to these educators. Apparently, according to AAP Fact Check, Niam Akinshin, senior lecturer at the University of Wollongong, I'd love to have a bit of a debate with you. How about that, Niam Akinshin? We'll have a bit of a debate. If I can freaking say your name. Apparently, according to Niam, there is no state of emergency in New South Wales because it only exists if it's declared. Let's have a look at the law. There's something called the law. It's called the chicken or the egg. The chicken or the egg. Woman, something exists separately to it being declared. There's a merits-based type assessment that takes place as to whether something exists. And guess what? Hazard, Gladys, Chant, they've all been bloody sitting around saying we need the military, there's emergency, people apparently dying, there's a big crisis, there's a public health crisis, there's an emergency. They've said it a million times. The police have said it. So they've said it. They said that they've declared it, basically. They're actually holding out that there's a state of emergency, which they haven't declared. Now, you have an entire body of law. Let's follow this through. There's a whole body of law written for this very instance of an emergency called the State Emergency and Rescue Management Act 1989. But according to NIAM, apparently you don't have to use the law. It's optional. When there's an emergency, it's optional. You don't ever have to use it, really. Only optional. And apparently the law is written such that one section out of the entire Act, Public Health Act, can let the executive do whatever they want. They can run wild. Darling, there's many sections in the law which you've clearly avoided in your response to me. There's something called reading the law. Legislative construct. Just this little pesky thing called legislative construct. Section 4 of the SERMA talks and defines when a state of emergency exists. They have been purporting that one does exist. And guess what? Section 7 talks about it existing, not it being declared. So if it exists, you can't use Section 7 because subsection 7(6) states so that any orders you're making when there's a state of emergency that exists under the SERMA is ineffectual. Why? Because you have Section 8 now weighs in Professor Twomey. And Twomey, constitutional professor of constitutional law. Man, would I love to have a bit of a chit chat with you. Apparently it's additional powers. Yeah, it's optional. They're optional because apparently only need one section. Section 7 out of the entire laws. 2 large pieces of legislation. We're not going to use anything. You guys are absolute morons. You've avoided the analysis of all the other sections I mentioned. And how about this? Public health orders is defined under the Public Health Act to mean what is ordered under Section 62. They're individual orders that medical practitioners need to issue, and Hazard is using public health orders under Section 7. What do you have to say about that? Personalised orders with medical practitioners before you can sit there and do medical interventions. You can't sit there and do them on a group because even the Public Health Act itself protects against that. No, No, we're not going to read the legislation. We're just going to say you need a legal lesson without reading the legislation because government, didn't you know, government can do anything. The legislator allows the executive to do whatever they want under the one section. Well, how about this? The State Emergency Operations Centre and the police powers that have been used and triggered, all under the SERMA. SCOC, using the military, everything all under the state emergency. So they're using all the powers without it declared. Oh, that's a classic case of judicial review. Yeah, it's called illegality, impropriety, legitimate expectation. Oh my God. You guys are fucked. Seriously. Excuse my French. But it's really hilarious watching all of you. And I love how she goes, you're encouraging people. What did she say? Dangerous. She's dangerous. Dangerous? The only dangerous person here, Professor, is you. You're dangerous because how stupid you are. You're a constitutional law expert and you can't read legislation. And I never said anything about telling people not to comply. I have thousands of people who've approached me on this. I'm simply consolidating it, and guess what? There are lawyers and barristers out there that don't think like you, Professor and Doctor Who. You haven't really practiced. That's why you're in university, because you're dumb. You know, we keep the ones in university is the ones who are dumb. Okay, so because you can't practice, because you're not clever enough. Okay, you're not good with clients. And that's okay. But this is hilarious. This is like, I'm going to wear this like a badge of honor. AAP fact check. I've just been fact checked. Amazing. Amazing. The verdict. Oh, and they want to say, oh, she's had her license cancelled. She also has led the detention towers class action. Oh, we're so lefties. Anyway. So this has really made my day, but putting all that aside, I am actually reminded of a really interesting verse from the Bible, Revelation 13:17. So that they would not buy or sell until they had the mark, which is the name of the beast or the number of its name. I mean, this is really powerful. We are moving really fast, diabolically. I'm not sure if the legal fights are going to help. I mean, I think every little bit helps. Look, there's a lot of cases out there. People are disagreeing with each other. Even myself, I've disagreed as well. But at the end of the day, people are free to express their concerns and bring them into the court space. You know, we're doing that too, dealing with lawyers, getting their advice, putting cases together, getting barristers who actually know a thing or two about the law, not the professors and the doctors, but yeah, the actual experts. So, you know, we're also doing our hardest, and we really honestly believe that this is going to be about experts actually bringing in and having the scientific debate. Okay, we need to have a scientific debate. It's not enough to talk about human rights and constitutional rights. We need to have a scientific debate. And that was really what I was going to file until they stole $654,000 from my client's account without their permission, and they're still forcibly holding it. Still unlawfully holding it. Just courtesy of CBA, King of Thieves. So, you know, we're definitely moving ahead with that. But, you know, I feel that in many ways, the 20%ers, we will need to come up with solutions beyond the courtroom. We're going to have to go beyond the courtroom. We're going to have to look at things from a much more wider perspective. We're going to have to help each other. We're going to be launching many campaigns with teachers, with police, I'm really excited about what's coming in the coming days. We're really, trying to bring together people through campaigns, helping through human rights advocates with training the advocates, to help on the ground, to help each other, to look at how we are going to really come together. The ones who are actually the thinking crew, the thinking lot, which is really what we are all thinking. How we're going to come together and dig our way, okay? Thinking wombats, how we're going to dig our way out of this, because if I had a crystal ball, you'd all realize that we're all in trouble. We're all in trouble. Our police officers are in trouble. They're traumatized. They're not happy. There's a lot of thoughts around, bringing in United Nations Asian ruthless police officers from Asia, China. The elite has a plan to move here, base themselves here in Australia, and we're all going to be losers, every one of us. All the ones that still haven't been touched by the bad, we are all in trouble. All of us, every single one of us. They're going to put the property market down. They're going to create a financial crisis. They already have. Suicides are going to go up. Drugs are going to go up. There's going to be increased violence. All of these really highly compliant people. You're all targeted. Every single one of us is. You think I'm not telling you this. I wish you would listen to me. We're all in trouble here. We're really in trouble. And if you can see this crystal ball, we're all in trouble. In trouble bad. And Revelation, so that they would not buy or sell unless they had the mark, unfortunately. And believe me, none of us are going to be able to buy or sell, because what this verse is talking about is our bodies. They're buying and selling us, a eugenics experiment of the most sickest order. The Indigenous are truly suffering in this country, and now they're suffering even more. We need to unite. We need to get over this. We need to realize what is coming is very disturbing. And the studies are showing that the vaccinated are in trouble. The vaccinated are in trouble deep. And, my brothers and sisters, you would listen to me. You got to save yourselves, because this is a perpetual cycle of trouble. A really perpetual cycle of trouble. And the politicians and all those people are going to flee. They're going to flee. And we're all going to be looking at each other going, what is happening in our nation? It's been completely destroyed. So I really urge you to have a think about that. And we're really going to be thinking outside of the square now. It's not, forget about the courts. We'll do what we can, but we've got to think like wombats. We've got to dig. Dig, because the bushfires are coming.